Thank you very much for joining me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields on this Wednesday, tracking some of the coldest air of the season, and this could be the coldest air of the year. We're watching the Polar Vortex together. I'll get into what that means. Point being, a lot of cold air up toward the pole, and again, that is going to be diving down to the south. So here's the Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico, United States. You get back toward Canada, and you see these colors here. As we go over the next several days through the upcoming weekend into early next week, we are going to see a surge of cold air, a piece of the polar vortex that will dive down into the United States. So very, very cold air in the U.S. What does that mean even to the south? Well, sometimes when that happens, that pushes more and more fronts down toward the Caribbean. So everything tied together really on a global scale. The weather is just fascinating with aspects with regards to that. Now, the polar vortex itself. Now, here's the U.S., here's Canada. You got this area up here. This is where it usually is, over the North Pole. Polar vortex is a large area of cold air high up in the atmosphere. It normally spins above the pole, but every now and then it destabilizes in a part of it, could kind of break free and move down to the south across parts of the U.S. And that's what we're going to see over the next 4 to 5 days. Kind of pushes that jet stream down to the south, and that allows some of the polar vortex to move in, and that's exactly what we're going to be seeing. And that means some cold air back toward the U.S., of course, incredibly cold back toward parts of Canada, and even trying to bring a few changes into the Caribbean. I want to tie that together. We've been seeing some of that. Now, it's going to be some of this action up here that moves in. Here's that big front that did bring severe weather to parts of Florida, Georgia, over toward Mississippi and Alabama yesterday. That front bringing some rain to parts of Bermuda. In the tail end of the front, some of us may have woken up to some rain in parts of Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Cuba. So just what we were talking about together the last few days. Now, this is going to move away, but our next front, and thanks in part to the polar vortex, will dive a little bit more down to the south. You see here, again, some spotty showers a possibility, and in Guyana, still some of the showers that have been around. St. Lucia, we had some rain yesterday. We're going to see some surges of rain. Let me start wide first, and then I want to get into the winds. Now, much of the U.S. on the relatively quiet side. If you're watching from eastern Canada, I'm going to zoom down in a moment. Hang with me. But as we go forward into the week, this is by the time we get into tomorrow, we're going to see our next storm system quickly developing, a very El Nino pattern. I talked about this in previous videos, kind of an aggressive pattern where we see more and more systems. Here we go. Here's a bigger front setting up. Great Lakes seeing some snow, more rain, more storms, southeast U.S., mid-Atlantic, and stretching back into the Gulf. So once again, later this week by Friday, the choppy seas. More in the seas in the previous video. I was covering that for the long term, thinking of our boaters out there. But with this polar vortex and the surge of colder air starting to work in, these fronts dive a little bit more to the south. So we're going to see bigger shifts in the wind, the Bahamas, Cuba, even Jamaica, Cayman Islands, over toward the Yucatan, Mexico as a whole, down through Belize. And as we pull forward into a Sunday, this is Sunday, we have this big front moving off, but we get these surges of little fronts with that polar vortex moving in, really cold air in the U.S., and we'll see some of the wind shifting around, at least in the northern Caribbean as we go forward. Let me break down some of the winds. Gulf of Mexico, again, it was very windy yesterday, of course. That system has moved off. Winds right now over toward Bermuda, 80 kilometers an hour, or about 50 miles per hour. The gust, that is, with that front moving by. Still seeing some of those gusts. We've been seeing that a persistent easterly flow just spinning around here, this area of high pressure just to the north. That's the reason why we are going to see some increased chances of rain in the eastern Caribbean over the next couple days. Really strong easterly flow will be with us. I'll show you that when I show you the modeling for us in the Caribbean. Here we go with this next wind shift. This is by Friday. Gusty winds, 50 miles per hour, 80 kilometers an hour in parts of the Gulf of Mexico. And you see this northerly flow here meeting the southerly flow. That's where the front is, and then that front moves off again. But you see the winds out of the north on Saturday, parts of Mexico and Belize, out of the north in Cuba, and then out of the north in the Bahamas. So some of that slightly cooler air trying to move in. And then we're going to see these mini fronts back behind it trying to bring some bigger wind shifts as we get into next week. Now, I mentioned those winds, a little area of high pressure surging in that easterly flow. Guyana, Suriname, we've had rain, but Trinidad and Tobago, St. Lucia, St. Vincent the Grenadines, Grenada, Barbados, even Antigua and Barbuda, Montserrat, Saba. Look at this moisture that tries to build in. We're not looking at washouts, but every now and then we are going to see these showers that just kind of spin in at times. So keep me posted in the comments if you get some rain. If you don't get some rain, we'll be watching that. And staying unsettled, Jamaica, Cayman Islands, and to the north because of these fronts that will be around. So we have the fronts here, but here we have the moisture. You see again more green on the map. This is Friday, Anguilla, Antigua, and Barbuda, Montserrat, St. Kitts, Nevis. We could see some of those showers trying to pump in. Now I want to jump over here. This is eastern Canada. So my friends in Newfoundland over toward Prince Edward Island, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia. This is today. I mentioned that front moving through Bermuda, moving through eastern Canada as well. Got that mix of rain and snow, gusty winds definitely with us. This surge of moisture gradually works off as we get into tonight and early tomorrow. And then every couple days we've been seeing these systems moving in. This was my winter outlook that parts of the mid-Atlantic, northeast U.S., up toward eastern Canada would get hit hard. We're going to see more of that over the next few weeks. Let me go out in time here. This is pulling through Friday into Saturday. Here's Saturday. Here's New England. The next system will move through Friday into early Saturday across New England. And then you see once again on Saturday, very similar to what we have now, the mix of rain in our northern tier. We get a little bit of a mix of snow and rain. And then that tries to pull off as we work our way into later on Sunday. So another system moving in as we get into the upcoming weekend. Now, as we get back through the Caribbean, some surges of moisture, some batches of rain, 30 to 40% chance the next few days, Trinidad and Tobago, and about a 30 to 50% chance in Grenada. Get back towards St. Vincent and the Grenadines, that easterly flow, upwards of a 30 to 40% chance of rain. Not as much today in Barbados, but you see how it picks up for us in Barbados. It'll pick up as well. St. Lucia, we had some rain yesterday. We had some rain last night, or a couple nights ago, and you see the rain chance bouncing back. I showed you that model with that flow coming in off of the Atlantic. So we'll see about a 30% chance of some passing showers in Martinique. Not too high, but every now and then we could get some showers. Dominica, 40% chance tomorrow, a 40% chance on Friday, a 40% chance on Friday in Guadeloupe. Now we get back toward Antigua and Barbuda, not a lot around today, but you see the rain chance, it will be bumping up with the surges of moisture. St. Kitts and Nevis up to a 40% chance on Friday. Get back toward Anguilla and St. Bart's, a 40% chance on Friday, and getting a little higher, St. Martin, Saba, and Statia through the end of the week and the upcoming weekend. Puerto Rico tomorrow, rain chance 40%, 40% chance on Friday. U.S. and British Virgin Islands with that front passing by, we may see a few more showers tomorrow. Watching that over towards St. Thomas and St. Croix. Dominican Republic, rain chance about 30% tomorrow and Friday. Haiti, not a lot of action. Very slight chance of a couple sprinkles around. That would be it. But Jamaica, some of us woke up to some of the rain. I was mentioning that, watching us closely in Jamaica. Back through the Cayman Islands, that front kind of sitting on top of us, keeping some moisture in play. Bahamas, we're watching some of that moisture moving through. 20% chance today, Turks and Caicos, up to a 30% chance tomorrow. Cuba, 40% chance of some of the spotty showers today with that front moving by. Belize and the Yucatan of Mexico, rain chance not very high, 10-20% chance at best. Aruba, Curacao, Bonaire, we may get a few passing showers, but the rain chance stays generally limited. About a 50% chance in Bermuda for the afternoon. We've already had some of that rain and then going down some. Costa Rica, some spotty showers and some storms, but Guyana, I was mentioning Guyana, I was showing you Guyana and Suriname, that rain chance is on the higher side, especially today into tomorrow. In northern Venezuela, 20 to 30% chance. So super active, choppy seas, watching the gusty winds, areas of rain moving in, and that rain chance will be increasing through the end of the week. That major system up into the U.S. that will be building with some of the coldest air of the season moving in. And of course, still monitoring those earthquakes. I'll keep you posted on that. Thank you for being with me and sharing this channel. Have a great rest of your day.